thrashes in the sheets, and my fists clutch the pillows as I wake. Fuck, I mutter to myself as relief washes through me when I realize it was just a dream. No, it wasn't a dream. It was a nightmare. When I reach over, there is no one there to hold me. It hurts to not have him here with me. Waking up next to him the last few days has been amazing, and I feel empty and alone in his room without him. Licking my dry lips, I lift my aching head. What time is it? I ask to nobody but myself. My heart is still pounding in my chest as I reach over to the nightstand and pick up my phone, plugged into its charger. The screen reads 11:48 a.m. How did I sleep in this late? I never sleep past sunrise. As I set my phone back down, I see a bottle of water and 2 aspirin on the nightstand. Hearing the howling of the wind outside, I gladly pick up the water and aspirin. I pop the aspirin in my mouth and swig the water, hoping it will calm the storm stirring in my head. As I set the bottle and paper down, I notice something written on a post-it stuck to the nightstand. Beautiful girl, in case you're not feeling so great. Stretching and grinning at his note, I glance around the room. Sheets are tacked over the glass doors. He must have done that so I could sleep. How could he be so nice to me after I was such a bitch last night? Shit, last night. I remember every minute of the horrible evening, every minute of our painful conversation, but I don't remember getting into bed. Glancing down, I notice I'm only wearing one of River's t-shirts and my panties. I must have passed out in the car. Did he bring me inside, up all those stairs, and change my clothes? The last thing I remember saying after leaving the parking garage was that I still wanted him to take me home. To my home, not his, but I'd wait until morning. I need to find River and talk about last night, so I stand on shaky legs and find my clothes lying on the floor beside the bed. Making my way to the bathroom, I look in the mirror. That was not a good decision. Makeup smears my face and my hair is a tangle of knots from all the hairspray. I really need a shower, but settle for washing my face, brushing my teeth, and throwing my hair into a ponytail before going to search for him. I don't have to look far. As I walk down the hallway, I hear soft guitar music. I stop at the entranceway to the living room to watch him. He's sitting on the couch in jeans and a plain t-shirt, barefoot, and his hair is a little more disheveled than usual. His fingers are holding a guitar pick, and he's strumming a beautiful melody while quietly singing an unfamiliar song that I can't really hear the words to. He has a notebook and pen beside him, and he's deep in thought. I stand there a while just listening, looking, thinking about how unbelievably gorgeous he is, both inside and out, and how sad I am that I'm leaving. I decide to quietly go get my camera out of my bag in the bedroom. I want to capture his perfect image. As I tiptoe back and stand just inside the living room, watching him through my lens, I snap a few photos while he's playing. He's so involved in his work that he doesn't even hear the click of the camera. When he finishes the song, he adjusts his guitar on his leg and leans over to his notebook. That was beautiful. He glances at me, but the happy grin I usually see on his face is missing. What song was that? I didn't recognize it. Leaning his guitar against the couch, he nonchalantly says, "It's just something I'm working on." Taken aback by his obvious disinterest in discussing the song, I ask, "You got your guitar back?" Standing up, he shoves his hands in his front pockets and shrugs his shoulders. "Yeah, Xander brought it by this morning." Then he asks, "How about coffee?" I enter the room and head for the kitchen while I say, "Yes, I can get it though." "I've already made it. I'll grab you a cup." "Thanks." I put my camera down and sit on the couch, hoping my queasy stomach can hold down the coffee. "How do you feel?" "Fine. I took your remedy. I think it's working." I watch him walk into the kitchen, but he doesn't turn around to catch me like he usually does. Once he's in the kitchen, he pulls out the paper cups we bought at Whole Foods yesterday and pours 2 cups. He adds cream to mine, and I smile. He He walks back into the room and hands me the cup. "Do you want me to go get you something to eat?" he asks as I take the coffee, staring at him. For the first time since I met him, I can't read him at all. "Shit, no," I answer, grasping my stomach. "I hope I can keep the coffee down." He chuckles, and I can tell the river I know is in there somewhere. He walks back over to where he was playing his guitar and sits down. Sipping my coffee, I look over at him. "Was Xander feeling okay?" He quickly glances my way and answers, "Yeah, he looked wrecked, but nothing some sleep won't cure." He takes a sip of his coffee, then continues, "I asked Garrett to take him home last night. I guess he stayed at Garrett's, and on their way back to Beverly Hills this morning they stopped by to check on you and drop off my guitar." Pointing to the bar, he adds, "And your jacket and purse." That was really nice. Then I laugh a little. Shit, I don't even remember leaving my stuff there. I guess since you gave me your jacket, I never thought of mine. At least my purse was still there. That would have sucked to have to cancel everything. I notice he doesn't laugh at my swearing like he usually does. Instead, he nods at me, then says in a flat tone, "Well, your mind was elsewhere. I would have grabbed your stuff when I stopped to talk to Garrett, but I forgot it was even there. At least I grabbed my jacket or you would have been frozen." For some reason, the whole conversation seems strained, awkward, and I sense it's because of my behavior last night. I'm sure he's uncertain about my feelings and upset about what I said. Needing to make amends for my bitchiness, as in my sober state I believe that he never meant any foul behavior, I stand up and walk over to the bar. Setting my coffee down, I move toward him. His eyes scan my body as I approach him. I feel like this one little move on my part, this sign of my forgiveness, has put his mind at ease, and by the look in his eyes, I know he's back. Tears sting my eyes as I sit on his lap. His arms instantly embrace me, and he lets out a soft sigh. "I'm sorry," I cry as I throw my arms around him. He sighs again and pulls me as tightly to him as he can. My head is in the crook of his neck, and he inhales before sighing again. Shifting me so that I fit perfectly into his lap, he whispers into my ear, "You have nothing to be sorry for. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I know I should have." Pulling back, I sniffle a little and wipe my nose with the back of my hand. He flashes me that grin I adore, then shifts to lift his shirt, using it to wipe my tears and my nose. Resting my forehead on his, I ask, "Is your family really okay with me? With everything that happened?" Cupping my cheeks, he nods. His expression is a mixture of seriousness and sadness. "The accident had absolutely nothing to do with you, Dahlia. Call it coincidence, call it bad judgment, but Belle getting in that car could have happened even if I was the one who said I would bring her home. She was determined to meet some guy at her place, and she wasn't waiting." His eyes flash to mine, filled with concern as I continue to listen. "I left that night and went straight to her place. When I got there, no one was waiting for her." "No one?" I say, saddened that his sister left to meet someone who obviously never showed up. He pulls my elastic band out of my hair. "If your head hurts, you don't need this pulling on it," he says, tossing the band to the ground before continuing. "Who knows what happened to the frat boy, but he wasn't there waiting for her. He never bothered to visit her, and he never knew. After the accident, she never mentioned him again." He spits out, "And I'm glad she never did. I'd have killed him." Hanging his head, he relaxes his jaw. "A guy planning to meet a chick at her place so late after going out with his buddies is just not cool. We didn't even know everything until after." Pulling away from him, I start to say something. "What do you mean by every?" He puts his finger over my lips to shush me. "Never mind. It's really none of my business anyway." With a tender hand on my chin, he says, "All of that has nothing to do with us, but I'm still sorry I didn't tell you. I don't want this to impact us, though. Got it?" I feel exhausted and emotional, but I nod and say, "River, I understand, and it's okay. But I still have to go home. I can't stay indefinitely. His gorgeous face looks so sad as he says, "Whatever you want. But you look tired. Can we at least go tomorrow?" Nodding in agreement because I'm exhausted, I hold him tight, inhaling his scent and loving his warm embrace. "Only if we can take a nap now. I love sleeping while it's raining." He pulls back and kisses my nose. "Me too," he says, and then he leads me back to his bedroom. His room is dim when I open my eyes. The rain is still pounding outside, but snuggled into River's chest, I'm calm and at peace. The sheet and a single blanket are tangled around us, and he's lightly rubbing his thumbs over the sliver of bare skin between my neck and shoulder. He's awake before me for the second time today. Lifting my head, I smile at the sight of his adorable face. He's lying on my right side, and I cuddle up into his arms. The faint light filtering through an opening in the hanging sheets reflects off his eyes, making them twinkle. He gives me a sexy grin and asks, "Feel better?" I nod, lay my head on his chest, and say, "Much." "Good." He kisses the top of my head and wraps his arms around me tightly. Soon enough, I need to use the bathroom, so I slide my body down his and get off the bed. "Where you going?" "Bathroom. Want water while I'm up?" "Nope, I'm good. I just want you back here with me, sleepy girl." As I leave the room, headed for the bathroom, I turn and ask, "What was that song you were playing earlier?" "What song?" he asks, watching me like I always watch him. Turning completely around, stopping at the edge of the bathroom, I bite my lip and answer, "You know, the one you quickly stopped singing when I came in the room. The one I asked you about that you said you were working on." Sitting up and stretching, his glorious body now in full view, he says, "It's not that I stopped working on it when you came in the room." Then standing up, he adds, "I just want to finish it before you hear it." "What if I want to hear it now?" I challenge as I quickly turn back around, shutting the bathroom door. "Well, that would depend," he says loudly enough that I can hear him through the door. He adds, "I'll get your water." When I open the bathroom door, he's standing there, water in one hand, guitar in the other. Lifting both, he hands me the water bottle. I chug it back as he continues to block my path with his guitar. "Yes?" "Let me stay with you a few days at your house, and I'll play the song for you, even though it's not finished," he propositions, sliding his guitar back under his arm. Taken aback by his question, I shakily ask, "You want to barter?" Loving the idea of spending more time together, but not happy about bringing River to the house that Ben and I shared, I'm not sure how to respond. "Yeah, barter," he starts to say, then stops. Pulling me close with his free hand, he kisses me. "You know what? Never mind." Maybe sensing what I'm thinking, or maybe second-guessing his idea, he points to the head of the bed. "How about you sit up there, away from me, so I can concentrate? You're too distracting," he says as he kisses me again. Summoning all my willpower to not throw him on the floor as his tongue meets mine, and his body presses close to me, I pull back from his mouth and sashay toward the bed. "You're so bossy," he laughs as I walk away. As I sit down at the head of the bed, I cover my legs with my shirt and wrap my hands around my knees. "Okay, is this less distracting?" I smirk, resting my chin on my knees. "Not really," he laughs. "Well, it's irrelevant anyway since you promised to show." He looks so fucking attractive as he struts closer and sits at the foot of the bed. "I don't remember promising. That's a whole other type of transaction." I smile at him and laugh. "I'm willing to pay," I proposition before adding, "as long as the show lives up to my expectations." He softly smiles at me and says, "I hope it does." Placing his guitar on his leg, he positions one arm around the neck and his other over the body. "This is something I wrote this morning for you. It's called 5. He begins to strum the same beautiful melody I heard earlier. I stare, mesmerized by his soulfulness. As he plays, the chords come to life with his concentration and intensity. He sings the first 2 lines of the song, and I listen. 5 years, 260 weeks, 1,825 days, 2.3 million minutes. That was how long ago I met you. His lyrics immediately resonate with me. I can feel my heart expanding, accepting him as the one who belongs there, the one who is meant to hold it. As he sings, his focus slips further into his music. If I did it all again, would you come along for the ride? If I did it all again, could you play this game with me? I hope so. Tears are stinging my eyes as I unfold my arms from my legs. He continues to sing, lost in his music, and I continue to watch, lost in him, in awe of him. Perhaps in love? In 5 years, 260 weeks, 1,825 days, 2.3 million minutes from today, will we still be together? Because I love you. Do you believe we will still be together? I hope so, because I really love you. Do you know so? Shaking with joy and needing to touch him, to wrap myself around him, to show him I feel the same way, I crawl down the bed as he sings his last line. Now you do. I love my beautiful girl. Swallowing back the tears, I'm overcome with emotion. He wrote me a love song to tell me how he feels. Sitting beside him at the foot of the bed, I'm rendered speechless for a moment. The tears that have been welling in my eyes begin to slide down my cheeks as he sets his guitar gently on the floor. As I open my mouth to speak, without knowing exactly what I'm going to say, he reaches over and gently cups my face in his hands. He brushes my tears away with his thumbs. He leans in until his lips almost touch mine. Shh, you don't have to say anything. I'm not expecting you to say anything. I just want you to know how I feel, how much you mean to me. I kiss him, snaking my arms around his neck as he shifts on the bed to welcome me. When he whispers in my ear, Dahlia, I love everything about you. I know in my heart you're my girl. So amazing, so fun, so beautiful. I feel my heart pounding, and I know it's about to jump out of my chest. Turning my head, I look into his eyes. They are telling me that he's my future. I can't respond in words. I don't know how. So I close my eyes, knowing I can show him how I feel. I kiss him with all the love I feel. Parting my lips, our tongues meet and explore each other as if they've entered uncharted territory and are looking to claim it as their own. Pulling back slightly, I teasingly suck on his lower lip before moving my mouth down to his neck. Gliding my tongue across his smooth skin, I plant soft kisses along the way. I can feel his taut muscles through the fabric of his t-shirt as I slowly but firmly slide my hands down his back. When I trace my nails against his skin, I hear a low growl in his throat. My desire to make love to him is so strong. I can feel my heart beating faster with every passing second. River must feel the same way, because he grabs hold of my arms and gently presses me back, so I'm lying flat on the bed, looking up into his sparkling green eyes. His hands move to hold mine, threading our fingers together as he raises both my arms above my head while softly running his tongue across my lips. I open my mouth and let his tongue inside as he releases one of my hands, but quickly grabs it with his other, keeping my arms restrained above my head. Still hovering over me, his knees at my hips, he breaks the kiss and slides his mouth to my ear. While running his free hand down the length of my arm, from wrist to shoulder, he whispers in his sexiest tone, I love you, Dahlia, and I want to show you just how much. My body shivers with anticipation as he runs his fingers down the front of my shirt, over one breast and then the other, and my nipples harden from his touch. At the hem of my shirt, he slowly pulls it up my body, revealing my goosebump-covered skin. His tongue touches the bare skin just below my breasts and follows my shirt's path up my body, as if trying to catch it in a chase. Once my breasts are exposed, his tongue teases my hardened nipples, circling them over and over, and I begin to moan. He's still holding my hands over my head, and I cannot touch him, although I want to so badly. "River," I murmur, my eyes half closed as I arch my back, offering his mouth better access to my aching breasts. "I need to touch you." "Soon," he whispers back. And with that, he pushes my shirt up as high as it will go, sucking on both my breasts, one at a time, as if they are his lifeline. His fingers are lightly tracing patterns on my bare stomach, and the sensation is incredible. I'm so turned on as I writhe under his touch. Lifting his head, River smiles as he brings his lips back to mine before releasing my hands from his grasp. Our tongues intertwine, and my arms wrap around his body, pulling him into a loving embrace. Breaking away, he pulls both of us up to a sitting position. Without saying a word, he lifts my shirt over my head and tosses it to the floor. Following his lead, I do the same. As his shirt hits the floor, he's already laying me back down on the bed. I can tell he wants to take the lead, and I'm perfectly happy letting him do just that. His every touch, his every nibble is so overwhelmingly sensual, and I love it. Leaning over me, this time without restraining my arms, he places his hands and knees on either side of my body, supporting his weight. As he glides his tongue down the front of me, my hands travel up and down his naked back. They press into the hardness of every well-defined muscle I encounter along the way, and he lets out a deep groan. Continuing his journey, he skims his nose along my skin and dips his tongue in and out of my navel, making me squirm. Reaching the silky edge of my black lace panties, I realize where he's headed, and I'm overcome with desire. I grasp fistfuls of his hair between my fingers. I gently urge his head downward, encouraging his mouth to reach its final destination. Hooking his index fingers into the waistband of my panties at each hip, he pauses a second before placing his lips between my slightly parted legs. When he softly kisses my most sensitive spot through the fabric of my very damp panties, I can practically see sparks fly from the feel of his touch. I'm getting wetter, and I want him badly. "You're so ready for me, aren't you?" He softly growls against my skin as he yanks my panties down past my knees to my ankles, and I kick them off onto the floor. "Oh, God, I am," I manage to whisper as I raise my hips, offering myself to him, my hands now flat on the bed for support. Using his hands to further open my legs, he sucks and nibbles on the skin of my inner thigh, trailing his kisses closer and closer to my slick core, where I'm so eagerly awaiting his touch. When he finally strokes me with the tip of his tongue, it's pure heaven, and I let out a deep moan. "Oh, God, that feels so good. Please don't stop." I feel his mouth turn up in a sexy grin as he continues to pleasure me with his wicked tongue, never lifting his head. Arching my hips off the bed as a jolt of pleasure runs through me, I grind myself urgently into his mouth, knowing I'm so close to the edge. As my muscles start to tighten, River's tongue massages me with just the right amount of pressure. When he sucks hard one last time, I can't hold back any longer, and waves of intense, fiery pleasure ripple through my body. I cry out his name over and over in ecstasy as his tongue continues to stroke me, prolonging this incredibly wonderful ride. As my heavenly journey slows, I catch my breath and notice River watching me with a big grin on his adorably attractive face. "Hey, beautiful girl," he says, leaning in to kiss the tip of my nose. His eyes meet mine as I smile up at him, still trying to regain my composure. "Hey, you," I reply, and with that he raises himself up and moves to stand beside the bed. Reaching into the front pocket of his jeans, he pulls out his phone and sets it on the nightstand. He turns and quickly yanks one sheet from the glass doors, allowing the small bit of daylight left to filter into the room. I know without even looking that it's still raining outside. I can hear the drops hitting the glass in a constant, steady rhythm. It's soothing. But the calm doesn't last long before River reaches over and grabs me by the ankles, then kneels on the floor at the edge of the bed, sliding my naked body toward him. He lifts my knees, resting them on his shoulders, and I hook my ankles around his neck. I'm very aware of him. I can feel his warm breath between my thighs as he lowers his head and kisses my entrance. His tongue penetrates my already slick opening, and I say, "River, I don't think I can again." "Shh, relax," he whispers as he continues to suck and tease every inch of my sex. I feel myself getting wetter. It's like he's kissing me from the inside out, and I don't want him to ever stop. I smile to myself. Maybe I can do this again? He slips one finger and then another deep inside me and slides his tongue up and over me. As he brushes over my G-spot, I know I can definitely do this again. I hear the rain pounding harder outside the window, perfectly mimicking the pleasure building in my body. My eyes close, and my head turns to the side as my breathing becomes shallow and quick. When I feel myself getting close, he suddenly removes his fingers, glides his tongue down deep inside me while he places both hands on my thighs. He's holding me in place, and it is incredibly erotic. This is something I've never experienced before. I love it. Tightening my leg muscles as I feel my climax building, I want to raise my hips and thighs off the bed, but I can't. It strengthens the intensity of what I'm feeling. "You're so close, beautiful girl. Just let go." "Oh, God, River, please, I cry out and come harder than before. An endless wave of primal bliss overtakes me. It's like I'm being catapulted through a beautiful stormy sea, and I don't want to reach the shore. River's tongue doesn't stop as he wrings every ounce of pleasure from my body, yet again. I open my eyes as the aftershocks of my release fade away, and I focus on his face. His sexy green eyes are staring back at me. "You are so amazing." He follows each word with a kiss as he makes his way up the front of my body, finally landing his lips on mine. Running my hands through his soft, disheveled hair, I pull him even closer, dragging my lips to his ear. "Make love to me, River," I softly whisper as I suck on his earlobe. I can't quite believe that after 2 incredible, mind-blowing orgasms, I not only have the energy, but also a strong desire to have him deep inside of me. I'm already slightly quivering at the thought of it. "I plan to," he says, and I know he means it. While he stands beside the bed, removing his jeans and boxers, I take a moment to sit up and glance out the window behind him. It's getting darker outside, not just from the time of day, but the storm clouds that have clearly settled in. The rain is still coming down in buckets, and I can vaguely make out the Hollywood sign in the distance, and it makes me smile. The dark, stormy weather outside couldn't be more different than the bright, peaceful, loving atmosphere inside these walls. Turning to look at River, I admire his naked, gorgeous body, every inch of it from head to toe. He stares at me with a devilish grin, and I can't help but shudder with anticipation for what lies ahead. He climbs back onto the bed, and I reach for him, longing to be entwined with him. With my arms around his neck, he gently guides me up the bed, urging me closer to the headboard until I'm sitting with my knees folded under me, my back against the smooth, cold black leather. Reaching over my head, I grip the top of the headboard as he kneels in front of me. Looking at him, I can see he's so ready, his tip already glistening. I can't wait another second. I need him inside me now. I'm trembling slightly as he parts my legs. With one swift but controlled motion, he smoothly pushes himself inside me, filling me deeply with his length. My hands are still holding tight to the headboard as I hear him let out a deep groan. "Dahlia, you feel so incredible." Unable to respond with words, I let go of the headboard and put my arms around his body, pulling him closer to me. Pressing my open mouth to his, I feel the velvety softness of his tongue stroking mine, the rhythm matching his thrusts. He quickly takes me and rolls us over so that I'm on top. His head is resting on the fluffy pillows, and I watch his face. His eyes close, and then so do mine as I push harder and faster. He steadies my hips, holding me right where he wants me to be. I feel the familiar sensation building in my core. River's motions are pushing me toward yet another release, and I can't hold on much longer. Open those beautiful hazel eyes, sexy girl. I want to be looking into them as we come together, he says before he can say no more. That's all it takes this time. I force my heavy eyelids open, focusing as best I can on his eyes as he pushes me over the edge, shattering me into 1,000 glorious pieces, taking me to a whole other universe. Oh, River! I moan loudly, panting hard as I slowly drift back down, his movements slow as I catch my breath. I love you, he groans, and with only a few more strokes, he shudders as he finds his own release. It's such a beautiful thing, and I know I will never forget this moment. I want to say the words back because I am in love with him, but the words just won't come. Instead, I kiss him with all the love I have for him pouring from me. Chapter 21. Between the Raindrops. Explaining to River why I didn't want him to come with me to Laguna Beach was one of the most painful conversations I've ever had with someone I love. Funny, I can think I love you in my thoughts, but I'm unable to verbalize my feelings. I don't understand why. Is it because I've lost almost everyone I've ever loved? Or is it because I've only ever been in love with one other person, and those words belong to him? Saying those words out loud to someone other than Ben scares me. To me, those spoken words convey so much more than just a simple I love you. I feel so much more than that for River. I feel like I have met someone I'm meant to be with. Neither of us felt hungry all day, and then suddenly we were both famished, so we ordered in. Once we finished eating an obscene amount of Chinese takeout, I decided to approach the conversation cautiously. Sitting cross-legged on his bed, I leaned forward and pressed my palms into his thighs. River, I want to talk to you about something. His legs were crossed, his back was against the headboard, and his arms were folded behind his head. Uncrossing his arms, he rolled sideways to face me. He supported his head with his hand and responded with nothing but certainty in his voice as he said, You know you can. Gazing into his powerful green eyes, I said, Promise you won't get mad. You don't even have to ask that, but I promise, he said, taking his free hand and crossing his chest. I found it so adorable whenever he did that. I want to explain something to you, I said to him cautiously. He nodded and ran his free hand down my bare thigh. Okay. Clenching his fist with both of my hands, I held his fingers in place as I explained that my house still had Ben's belongings everywhere, that I'd only started to pack up before leaving for Las Vegas. I also explained how I'd just recently decided it was time to move, that I'd actually just put the house on the market. He listened intently, acknowledging my words, but never interrupting until I said, I just don't want it to be weird for you, or me, if you come there and see pieces of my life with... Pulling me down to him, he caressed my cheek. He leaned in close to kiss my nose, then slid his lips to mine and said softly, I understand, and I want to take you home. I ended the conversation there and let him kiss me, stroke me, hold me and love me for the rest of the night. But now, as we're pulling up to my 1940s craftsman-style bungalow, I'm suddenly not sure this is a good idea. Looking at the purple wildflowers which have taken over the yard and the low-pitched gabled roof desperately in need of repair, I start to feel a little uneasy. Turning the car off, he shifts to look at me and grins. I never pictured you living in a yellow house with a white picket fence. When you want to live close to the beach, you take what's available, I quickly answer, feeling less nervous. The rain is pouring down so hard, the visibility is close to zero. There are flood warnings, and I wonder if the old roof on my house is leaking again. River pulls on his beanie as he opens the door. Stay there. I'll come around and get you. I love when he wears that hat. It always reminds me of the first time we met. He grabs my bags out of the trunk and comes around to my door. Of course, neither of us has an umbrella, so as I attempt to use my purse for cover, he removes his leather jacket and tents it over my head. We both run quickly up the stone pathway to the covered front porch. Wiping the drops from my face, I glance at the large arched front door. It is slightly ajar. Terror shoots through me as thoughts of a masked man invade my mind. Pushing me back with his arm, he asks, "Were you expecting anyone to be here?" My heart starts pounding out of my chest. "No," is all I can manage. He moves toward the door and I yell, "No, don't!" My whole body is trembling and fear surges through me. My jaw is tightly clenched and I'm feeling sweaty. Ignoring my plea, he continues toward the door, kicking it wide open with his boot. "You don't have an alarm?" "Alarm?" I ask with a quivering voice. Then realizing that wasn't an answer, I say, No alarm." His sharp voice pierces through the open door. "Hello?" He starts to move inside and I grab his wrist. "Are you insane? We can't go in there. Let's go back to the car and call the police." Gently pulling his wrist free, he says, "Dahlia, I don't think anyone's still here. Let me just check it out. See if we even need to call the cops. You stay here." "No, you're not going in there alone and leaving me out here," I whisper in case someone is in there. I'm scared shitless and not sure why we're even going in, but I follow him. As we enter the house, my senses are on full alert. River takes small, cautious steps as we enter the foyer, and I hesitantly trail behind him. I see Ben's keychain on the tile floor next to the old key-shaped holder we bought when we first moved in. Peeking over his shoulder, I see that the family room is a complete and utter mess. What had been packed in boxes is now strewn all over. The sofa cushions are torn and stuffing covers the hardwood floors. The TV cords hang from the wall. Various electronics are smashed on the ground. Ashes from the fireplace seem to dust everything, and glass lays shattered in 1,000 tiny pieces on top of the hearth. Running to the fireplace, I fall to the ground, clutching one of the broken pictures. It's a photograph of Ben and me at graduation. The frame is broken, but the photo is still intact. I stare at the face of the man I loved for so long. I assess the damage done to my most cherished possessions, and I realize they are all broken. My Purple Rain tickets mounted next to my father's smiling face are ripped, but my dad's big brown eyes seem to be looking back at me, trying to offer me comfort. The picture of my parents and me outside the Greek, proudly displaying our newly purchased concert t-shirts, lays shattered on top of another photo. One snapshot is torn in half. It is of my aunt and uncle holding me as the priest baptizes me, branding them as my godparents. My aunt's mother, Grammy, is standing next to them wearing her pearls. River lightly places a soothing hand on my shoulder as he bends to kneel beside me. "Be careful. There's glass everywhere." Nodding my head, tears are steadily trickling down my face. "Who would do this?" "I don't know," he says in a tone as grim as I feel. Taking the broken frame from my hand, his eyes narrow as he stares at the picture for a long while. I feel like recognition flashes across his face, maybe even pain as he says, "Is this him?" Turning to face River, I hoarsely answer, "Yes, that's Ben." I've noticed that just like Ari, he never actually says Ben's name. Setting the picture down carefully, he stands up and holds out his hand. "Come on, let's see if anything is missing and call the police. Whoever was here is gone now." Clutching his fingers tightly, I feel like every muscle in my body is tensing as I force oxygen back into my lungs to avoid hyperventilating. He points to the small vestibule in the back of the room that leads through the old butler's pantry to the kitchen. That way? I shake my head. No, follow me. Heading back to the foyer, we start down the short hallway that leads to my bedroom and Ben's office. He pushes in front of me while I constantly look around for possible intruders, even though I know they're gone. The house is too quiet for anyone to be in here. This is the same quiet I experienced hour after hour, day after day, for far too long. A crunching beneath my feet makes me jump just before my bedroom. We both stop instantly. He turns around and we look down at my black Converse sneakers as I lift my foot. Underneath it lays a crumpled piece of paper. I recognize the gilded edge of the paper immediately. It is a page from one of Ben's many journals. Bending, I carefully pick up the wadded piece of parchment paper, caressing the satiny edge and holding it tightly. I try to keep my tears at bay, but fail miserably as tears of sadness and sorrow bleed down my cheeks. My heart breaks as I glance into the office. Ben's cherished journals cover the knotted pine floor, along with pieces of his laptop and various books torn from their bindings. Many more journal pages, once pristine, lay ripped, torn, and balled up everywhere. His beautifully scripted handwriting is still visible through the vile mess. No, not his journals, I cry as I completely fall apart. Who would do this? Why? River holds me tightly as we stand between my room and the office. It'll be okay. I'll fix this for you. Come on, let's go back outside, he whispers. Wiping the steady flow of tears from my face, I shake my head and pull away. I want to see everything. This is my life, broken and destroyed. I need to see it. I sob as I move toward my bedroom, where I stand frozen in the doorway, unable to move, but unable to pull my eyes away. Pillows are torn open, the mattress is upside down, and a chair is flipped on its side. What I see next, as I glance down at the floor, tears through me like a knife to my heart. Amidst all the mess and chaos are my broken necklaces and scattered dolls, the items I cherish most. Pearls, white and black, cover the floor, stuck in the grooves of the wood planks. Some start rolling as I finally find the courage to move toward them, picking up my Ken doll as I walk. Totally losing any sense of sanity, I put the doll on my dresser and grab the silver-plated coffee mug lying on top of my t-shirt quilt. Collapsing to the floor, I haplessly start pinching the pearls from the ground and depositing them into the cup. Ironically, it is the one unbroken item in the room, the gift given to me by Ben as a gesture to fix what was once broken between us. River bends down and takes the cup from my shaky fingers. Furrowing his brow, and with concern in his voice, he says, "Let me do this. But first, let's get you a glass of water and take you to the car. I think you've seen enough. It looks to me like random vandalism." Sadly enough, I think he's right. Nothing seems to be missing, but everything is destroyed. It's like a tornado ravaged my safe, but sad house, taking in its path anything that remained of the people I've loved and lost. As if my world hadn't already been torn apart enough, now I have nothing left but my own fading memories. The house looks the way my soul felt for so long after Ben's death. My internal wounds rip apart, and the old feelings of hopelessness return. He's talking, but I can't hear him. A haunting reminder of my broken days echoes through my mind. Dark clouds begin to settle in before I blink away the eerie feeling. I try to see the outside of my own head, but the destruction I'm looking at only exacerbates my grief. Everything is broken. Everything I have left of him, of my parents, has been taken away from me. Even the memories are surfacing less and less, and now my daily reminders are gone. I need them back. I don't want my memories to fade away. Hysterically, I grab the cup back. No, I have to collect these. Then setting the cup on the floor, I crawl on my hands and knees, picking up the glistening pearls. These were my aunt's. She loved them. They were her mother's, my Grammy's, and they meant the world to both of them. He crawls next to me and deposits a pearl in the cup. Then he strokes my cheek before gently lifting my chin, and he looks at me with nothing but love. Okay, I understand. Let me help you. Pulling myself together, comforted by his simple touch and soft words, I continue to pick up what I can of the pearls before stopping and rising to my knees. He continues to collect all the magical beads, and now I feel like I should explain my hysterical reaction. Wiping my tear-stained cheeks once again, I fumble for the words. "River," I mumble before crawling over to him, kneading him near me. Glancing up at me, he sits up on his knees and pulls me close to him, clutching my arms and not letting go. As we kneel on the floor that the devil just walked across, he simply presses his forehead to mine. I remain stoic, even as the words come out of my mouth, and without looking at him, I begin. When I was a little girl, I would often go with my aunt to her mother's house to visit with her. Even though my aunt's mother wasn't really my grandmother, I loved her so much. I called her Grammy, and really she was like a grandmother to me, the only one I ever knew. I pull away and pick up the cup. Fingering the pearls that are no longer connected to their splendid strands, I say, "She wore these pearls all the time. Whenever I visited her house, she would put them around my neck and call them magic wishing wells." Swallowing, I set the cup back down and draw imaginary circles around my neck before continuing. "Grammy would always tell me that wearing these pearls would make all my dreams come true." Sighing, I take a deep breath and add, "When she died, they became my aunt's, and then when my aunt died, they became mine." I hang my head in my hands, unable to bear the pain any longer. His strong arms surround me, and he whispers into my ear, "Sounds like an amazing woman. We'll get her magic back, Dahlia. We will. But right now, you need to take a break." River's words soothe my pain, and as he pulls back, I catch his loving gaze. Exhaling the breath I've been holding, I feel a sense of calmness flow through my veins. New emotions bubble to the surface as I throw myself toward him. Clutching his face and staring into his eyes, the words I've been unable to say suddenly pour out. "River, I love you." He hugs me tighter than I ever remember being hugged, and after a few moments of embracing each other, he whispers into my ear, "I love you too. So much. Please let me take care of this for you." Pulling away, he crosses his finger over his heart. I promise to pick up the rest of the pearls off the floor. I'm sitting on the front porch, texting Grace that we will be by in a little bit. I assured her I was fine earlier when I called her, but she insisted we come by for dinner once the break-in had been reported. She also invited Serena. I'm a little apprehensive about River meeting her. She looks so much like Ben, same hair color, same blue eyes, and after seeing Ben's picture, River might be a little freaked out. After nearly 3 hours, the police finally finished taking their report, collecting fingerprint samples, asking me about missing items, and photographing the damage. As I place my phone down on the side table, I rock one last time in the antique chair that adorns my front porch. A black Jeep pulls up to the curb. It's still raining, but it's let up a bit. I recognize Ben's best friend instantly as he gets out of the car. Caleb Holt walks the few steps to the porch and hugs me before saying a word. "You okay?" Surprised, I answer, "Yes, how did you know?" "Serena called me right after you called Grace. She's concerned about you and asked me to come by and check things out. Sorry it took so long for me to get here, but I was in L.A., he says, walking toward the front door as River steps outside. "Dahlia, I think I got everything you wanted. Your car is loaded, so I'll just throw this in mine," he tells me while holding a crate of my most cherished but broken items in his arms. Almost bumping right into River, Caleb's eyes flicker to mine, and I can see he had no idea I was here with another man. They assess each other as they stand there, staring. River sets the bin on the old wooden planks and glances at me, his eyes searching mine for answers. I introduce my once-fiancé's best friend to my new boyfriend. The moment is awkward as neither one of them says a word at first. Finally, River extends his hand and Caleb hesitantly shakes it. "Sorry, I thought you were alone and needed help getting your stuff together to go stay at Grace's house," Caleb says, moving aside to let River pass. River strides over to me and stands as close as he can. I grab his hand, reassuring him that I'm okay. "I think we got it all," River says as he drops my hand and moves back over to get the crate. "Let me just load this in the car while the rain is let up." As River walks down the pathway to the street where his car is parked, Caleb looks at me. "Sorry, I didn't realize." "Caleb, it's okay. I wanted you to meet River anyway." Then glancing at my strong but tender boyfriend loading his car, I add, "I'm actually going to stay at his house until I can get this mess cleaned up." He asks, "Mind if I take a look?" Scrubbing my eyes with my palms from the mental exhaustion of the day, I say, "Not at all, but it's a wreck. Police think a gang of kids broke in since nothing was taken." He walks inside. River comes back and I wrap my arms around him, resting my head on his shoulder. "Thank you." Snaking his arms around my waist, he kisses my nose. "You don't have to thank me, Dahlia." Loosening our embrace, I search his eyes. Caleb is a Navy SEAL and Ben's best friend since we were 7. We all grew up together on the beach. He shrugs his shoulders as he releases me and grabs my hand. "What's he doing in there?" "He said he wanted to check it out." "Why?" "No idea," I say as I follow beside him, but stop at the doorway. "I don't want to go back in there, River." "Okay, baby. Let me just see if he's finished and we'll go." Watching River walk down the hall that leads to what used to be Ben's bedroom and mine feels strange. If it bothers River, he does a great job of hiding it, and I suddenly realize that finding my past in pieces has actually brought me closer to my future. Before leaving the house, River and Caleb walked through each room again, securing all the windows and doors. They didn't really converse, but they did agree they would meet here on Saturday to move the unsalvageable furniture from the house to the curb. The police found no evidence of forced entry, which bothers me. How did someone get in? One officer told me the perpetrator knew what they were doing and probably picked one of the old locks. Then he added that maybe they had a key. I found this unsettling and preferred to think that teens broke in for their own sick fun. Either way, whoever did this did it with the intent of turning my home into a battlefield. It doesn't matter who it was. What they did is unforgivable. Pulling out of my driveway, with every salvageable memento in the back of my 2009 white Audi Q7, I can clearly see that my home's exterior is now in need of just as many repairs as its interior. I've known the siding needed reshingling and the roof needed replacement for a long time. Ben and I had planned to make those improvements. They were on the top of our list, but when our list became my list, I just didn't care about the house anymore. For some reason, now I do. Its sad, broken condition reminds me so much of myself before I met River. I just want to reach out and heal it, like River helped heal me. But just like me, it's no easy fix. Sure, the outside repairs are simple. I just need to hire contractors to replace and repair the worn items, but the inside will take time. I wonder how a house left empty for only 6 days could now look like a war zone, and just like refugees, the battle has left me homeless. But luckily, I have a place where I can stay. As I drive past the for sale sign in my front yard, I'm sad that I might never spend another night in that house. That I might never get to feel the warmth and comfort that I used to feel there before Ben was killed. Ben and I loved that house, picket fence and all, I remember telling Ben that I never wanted to move. Our house had everything I needed, everything that was important to me: proximity to the beach, the most amazing garden, a tranquil backyard, and a front porch where we could sit and tell stories of our adventures to our grandkids. The sadness that now burns within me is not without cause. For someone to want to destroy another's personal possessions is beyond my comprehension. The things they randomly destroyed were my lifeline to my past, all I had left of the people I loved so much. Seeing my pearls ripped apart like that, taken from a beautiful circle of hope and turned into small, desolate islands, broke me once more. But this time I was not alone. River was there to soothe me. After silencing my sorrow with his presence and wiping my tears, we discussed what to do next: call the police, gather anything I wanted to take, and head back to his house. I agreed to go back to River's house, but only for the night. He didn't want me to be alone, and honestly, neither did I. He agreed to stop at Grace's first for dinner and to unload the things I wanted to keep safe, but didn't agree with me about staying at Grace's. He wanted me to stay with him. I explained that I not only need to be closer than 60 minutes from my house for the repairs, but that I need to work on making myself whole before I can think of living with him. He didn't question me, but he also didn't agree. Maybe sensing my confused state of mind, he let it be. Instead, he kissed me and held me tight. Once we pull up to Grace's house, I realize the storm is just about over. The wind seems to be calmer, and the huge clouds that loomed overhead are dissipating. As I stand in the driveway waiting for River, a cool breeze passes through as a ray of sunshine gleams down. As I look up to the sky, a small drop of rain falls on my cheek, so small I don't even bother wiping it away. The smell of wet sand surrounds me as the rain clears away to reveal a beautiful, starry night. I feel slightly nervous about introducing Grace to River. Although Grace is the woman who helped me through my adolescent years by teaching me how to drive, taking me shopping for my prom dress, helping me fill out my college applications, and even bringing me to my first gynecologist visit to put me on birth control, she is also Ben's mother. I'm sure she will accept a new man in my life. In fact, I know she will. But nonetheless, it will be awkward to introduce my once-fiancé's mother to my new boyfriend at her house. But because she's an amazing woman, and because I love her as if she were my mother, I want her to meet him, and I want him to meet her. She's who I aspire to be. Grace is shorter than I am, with shoulder-length blonde hair. Her creamy porcelain skin never ages, and her deep blue eyes are always tranquil. She's not only beautiful, but she sees the world through rose-colored glasses. She very rarely lets anything get her down. She's strong and independent, fun and loving, caring and nurturing. She's everything a girl would want in a mother, and I was lucky to have her willingly take on that role when my own mother no longer could. Serena is also an amazing woman who I'm sure will accept that I have a new man in my life. She helped me through her brother's death with such love and understanding. I feel like she is my sister, too. Walking down the stone-paved driveway toward River, I notice he's on the phone in his car. I stop, and glancing over my shoulder, I see the ocean, and it instantly makes me smile. I love everything about the beach. Its smell, its sounds, the surf. I haven't walked along it in so long. I actually haven't dipped my toes in the sand since... I shake that thought out of my head. I have enough sad thoughts I'm trying to push aside. The beach is a constant reminder of Ben. Each time I've come to Grace's over the past 2 years, I've stayed inside, refusing to recognize or embrace the calm beauty of nature's most magnificent and amazing wonder. And now I welcome it. I've missed it. I want to run toward it. "Hey, you okay?" he asks, closing his car door. I turn, and instead of running to the beach, I run to him. Watching him inhale the crisp, clean air, I throw my arms around his neck and breathe in his fresh scent. He feels just like a warm breeze as he wraps his arms around me and hugs me tightly.